Welcome back to part 11 of Tutomania, where I teach y'all about King Tutankhamun in celebration of 100 years since his tomb was discovered. Let's talk about an earlier discovery of King Tutankhamun in the Valley of the Kings. So as I mentioned last time, the two pharaohs that followed King Tut worked very hard to wipe away both the names of Akhenaten and Tutankhamun from the history of Egypt. So for a very long time, these pharaohs were completely forgotten. Even during the early days of Egyptian archaeology, in the late 1800s and 1900s, very, very little was known about Tutankhamun. But a discovery in 1907, 15 years before the tomb was discovered, brought us a little insight. A British archaeologist named Edward R. Arton, working for an amateur archaeologist, Theodore M. Davies, discovered a pit in the Valley of the Kings, which we now call KV 54. It had been cut in antiquity into the bedrock of the eastern slope of the valley. They didn't know it then, but KV 54 was only 360 feet away from KV 62, which is the entrance to the undiscovered tomb of King Tutankhamun. Now this pit was chock full of stuff. There were more than a dozen pottery jars filled with a variety of objects. There were bundled linen sheets, bandages, headscarves, broken mud seals with a variety of hieroglyphs, and sacks of various shapes containing white natron salt and even sawdust. There were even animal bones, sticks, reed material, and lots of broken pottery that were later reassembled. They also found this piece, which is my absolute #1 favorite piece of Egyptian pottery, and I'm going to do another video on it, I promise. The three last things that they found in the tomb are 3 beautiful dried floral collars. This is the first one. This is the second one, little less berries and flowers on this one. And this is the third one, which I think is probably the most beautiful. If you could believe it, Theodore Davies thought that he essentially found a random group of scrap. So he donated all of the division of his finds to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, where all these objects are on display now. To be honest, he definitely did not realize the gravity of what he found. Later archaeologists like Howard Carter and Arthur Mace credit this discovery as one of the leads to eventually find the tomb, specifically pointing out the name of Tutankhamun that was found on mud seals and these linens. The main theory is that this pit was dug by priests after one of the robberies into the tomb, and that these objects were originally in the tomb and were from the embalming and mummification of the king and a funerary meal for him. Next, let's talk about the last season for Howard Carter in the Valley of the Kings.